Alright, so I filmed this whole video and for some reason the audio messed up on the intro, so I'm just going to be doing it. But in this episode I'm going to be welding and throwing in a short ratio diff into the E36, which should really help out with acceleration and drifting. And obviously, since I'm throwing a new diff into the car, I had to do some burning, some drifting and all that to test it out. But now we'll go back to a couple days ago and start this video off. Okay, so here is the differential, which is an open 391 out of an automatic 325i. Now the manual 325i is like my car, come with a 315, so this differential is way shorter and should really help out with acceleration. Now the shorter ratio helps through giving you more mechanical torque, which is kind of hard to explain. I'll talk more about it later, but that is why the automatics come with it, because they need a bit of help with acceleration because of torque converters and everything. But if you throw one of those diffs into a manual car, all your gear is going to be shorter, you're going to have way more acceleration and everything. But there are some downsides. I'll also talk about that later. But I'm ready to get to work. I'm going to start opening up the diff, get the fluid out, clean it, get it ready to be welded. I'm ready to have it done, throw it in the car and do some big skids. Alright, so I just finished up the first weld on the differential, which I want to just show you all before I completely weld it all up. I'm going to make it pretty much one solid ball, and I wanted to show you what the welds look like. I'm using a cheap Harbor Freight, like $100 welders. Fluxcore is probably the worst welder you could possibly get, and it still gets the job done, even though a lot of people say you can't. I'm just going to show you that it is possible. So here is my first weld. You can see it goes along right here, and I left it pretty much as raw as it can get. You can still see all the nasty like yellowing from flux core and all the spatter balls and everything, which are really bad. But you can see I just did two little tags here to hold this plate in place. Now normally when people weld differentials, they'll just weld these corners here so the spider gears are welded together, but I went the extra mile and just did a plate in the center because I wanted some extra strength. Now you can see it penetrated decent enough. That's the main problem with the cheap flux core welder. You can only get so much like power, voltage, whatever out of a home outlet, so it's hard to penetrate. You got to be a lot more careful with it, really heat this metal up, whereas with like a nice gas welder you can just sort of just go at it. It's going to penetrate and it's going to look decent. Now this is pretty much how everything's going to go. I'm just going to weld this plate in, do these welds all the way around, fill up these corners right here, and since I'm planning to turbo the car very soon, I'm going to actually weld it around the carrier all the way around to probably about here. So it's going to be pretty much a solid metal ball. Now some people are really against welding it to like the carrier here, but I mean could be pushing 400 horsepower, which I mean that's a long ways away. If I do turbo the car, I'll probably be making like maybe 250, but I just wanted to be strong as possible so I can beat on it and not have the slightest worry. But now I just need to finish up all the welding, which is going to be a ton of work. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm just going to sit down and knock it out. It's going to take a lot of time just because I'm filling up pretty much the whole differential with weld, which I'm probably going to use like 2 pounds of welding wire or something crazy. But I'm going to hurry up, finish that, and then I'll just throw some fluid in it, put it in the car, and it should be good to go. All that's left to do after that is just to do some burning skids and see how it works. Alright, so I finally finished up the diff. I threw it in there. I didn't film just because it's hard to get angles under the car and stuff, and to be perfectly honest, I'm really tired. I've been working on this all day, but I got it done. So now I'm just going to start the car up, run it through the gears. Hopefully there's no noises or anything. And after that, I mean, I'm just going to take the car out, see how it drives, see how the new ratio feels, and obviously I'll do a skid or two, Bernie. I'm just really tired. I'm ready to clean up and just take a shower and rest, but let's keep working. Alright, so I finished everything up and I pulled the car out of the garage. I just took it down the neighborhood, but now I'm going to go out and really see how this diff is. We'll do some pulls, see how short the gears are, how quick, if it helps any with acceleration. Obviously we'll do a skid or two, some Bernies, whatever, but I'm really excited, so I'm ready to get on the road. I'm going to take Ruby with me, and then Mikey and his friends are supposed to be coming. I don't know if they will or not, but if they show up, we'll go out with them, maybe do some drifts, maybe get Mikey's car if he brings it. I don't know, but let's get to it.
I am, what is it, Piano White or Rana? Not Betty White.
Alright, so time for the first real pull with this diff. Let's see how it does. I'll give the camera to Ruby and she'll video the RPMs. Now, normally my car will just completely spin through first and second with little 205s, but I have two 25s in the back now. They're actually really fresh, they're real sticky, so I have no clue what's going to happen. It could be slower, faster. Let's just see what it does. Alright, here we go. Okay, so I pulled into a random parking lot in the middle of nowhere, and I'll just do some skids and see how this diff works. Okay, so the new diff, it feels great. I'm absolutely in love with it, which I want to be really enthusiastic, but I'm tired. I've been drained from just working on this car all day. The differential weighs about 100 pounds, and just picking up and moving and working with that thing is just a complete pain in the ass, and plus I had to put it in by myself, which really sucked. But the diff feels great. It really helps out with the acceleration, and I'm sure I'll be able to tell like a bigger difference over time. I've only had it for a few hours now and haven't really drove it down the road much at all. But it was drifting like garbage, to be perfectly honest though, with the big rear tires in the back. I'm used to the 205s, which just threw me off, and since this lift is so high in the back, I had to lift it to fit the tires. It was just kind of leaning a lot more than I'm used to, and it took a lot more force on the hydro to lock it up, so I definitely need to bleed it a bit more. But once I throw 205s on, I'm sure the car will rip and be great. But I'm going to wrap the video up. I'm just tired, so let me know what you all think, and obviously I'm going to be doing a ton of drifting, but stay tuned for that. And as always, until then.